eyes up in the sky, you feel me? Yeah.
Going back to the Liverpool move, do you remember your first conversations with Sir Kenny Dalglish?
Yeah, it was at his house. I went to see him at his house and meet him at his house.
An icon of Scottish football as well,
yeah,
we should say.
A hero of my father's. A lot of people that I knew. So obviously we had discussions with my agent and Kenny at the house, and I actually had an opportunity to go to Aston Villa as well under Gerard Houllier. And you know, I had discussions with him as well, and you know, Liverpool was the club I wanted to go to. It was iconic. It was the Kop and you know the great players over the years that had played for Liverpool. You know, Souness, Dalglish, Hansen, Scottish players that had been. They're still iconic players over the years, and it was unbelievable conversations. And fortunately for me, he chose me to come and play for. Let's say I feel I'm one of the privileged ones that get the opportunity to play for such a big club, because not many people do.
Am I correct in saying your father was still around at this point?
At this time, yeah, he would come to watch me. And first game against Sunderland, my mum and my wife and my dad were in the crowd, and actually my wife still has the video now of my dad crying in the stands.
Oh.
And it's emotional because it's everything I'd worked for. These are the big moments that you work for in your career, that at Anfield, playing for Liverpool, such an iconic club. It was emotional, yeah.
Your dad was crying, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
crying.
Did he ever cry in front of you?
I think a lot, yeah. At times, if he was the playoff final for Blackpool, because he knew how much it meant and what I'd put into it and the achievement that I had, and so he was quite an emotional person in terms of like away from the pitch. But yeah, it was great times.
What was it like playing alongside someone like Gerard? He's quite a few years older than you. You mentioned his name as someone you did look up to.
Yeah.
To suddenly be in the same dressing room as him at the training ground. I mean, how was he as a captain in terms of inducting new
well,
signings?
it took me a while to get used to. I was a bit overawed, and listen, he was a special player. He was the best player I played with, and you know, I looked up to him. Still look up to him now as a manager now, and look at how he carries himself as a top player and as a top manager. But in that dressing room, I had a lot of good people. I had World Cup winners in there. I had, you know, people who had won European Championships. A lot of international players who you learn from how they prepare for games, and it was just a special time. Unfortunately for me, I never played at the same team a lot with Stevie, because he picked up a couple of injuries that forced him out for a longer period. But when we played together, you know, he was brilliant to play alongside.
It felt like a summer of upheaval, because I was looking at the transfer window. Yourself, Jordan Henderson, who's still there, Jose Enrique, Sebastian Coates, Bellamy, you all arrived at the same time.
Yeah.
How did that feel for you? Like you were on the cusp of something new?
Well, it was great because a lot of new players, and you know, Kenny obviously had bought Andy Carroll in the January window.
And Suarez.
And Suarez as well. So new players were coming in, and you got to try and fit into that mould of how they play. You feel that you can always contribute when you play with better players, and it was great when I first went in. I found it difficult in terms of the standard every day was there, and I had to compete every day, and I ended up playing, I think, 35, 36 games for Liverpool, which I keep going back to as a real privilege.
Jose Enrique is coming down in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What's he like in the changing room? He loves to talk a lot, I can tell you that.
He loves himself.
Does he?
Yeah, so,
okay.
So when he comes down, he used to stand and look at himself in the mirror and that, and he was in good shape back in then. But he was a very good player. He was a wonderful left back, good career in the Premier League, and you know, still speak now and then on Instagram and social media, keep you connected with your former players. So he was a good player, and yeah, now becoming a bit of a social media magnet really for
he's Mr. Liverpool now.
Yeah, but he'd been there what, 5, 6 years he was there. So you know, when you go to a club like that and you get looked after in a special football club, you know, your heart is always in there.
Yeah.